and he broke into her home in the middle of the night, stabbed her 13 times, and left.
Barbara Lonzo, 20, strangled. Beverly Haynes, 31, shot. Chantel Sarah, 26, stabbed in heart. Corinthian May, stabbed 26 times. Jermacia Secure, 5, starved and tortured.
You know, you have to start all over again. They want you to feel that way. I believe she would cover up for him. She would never let me know exactly what was happening. Friday the 13th, it was 2001. February 10th, 2008. I had dropped out of school. I had gotten my GED, but I had no real education, so I was stuck, you know, in a bad situation with 2 babies then. Let her go to school, and if it's meant to be, it'll be. And her first year of school, great. It began when I moved I moved out of my place in with him, and it started when I wanted to go places by myself, just the store. He couldn't control her anymore. She had been grew up. When she met him, she was 16. She had been grew up in 7.
Everyone knows a battered woman, and everyone knows a batterer, whether they know they do or not. In your circle of relationships, whether it's family or friends, you know a battered woman, and you know a batterer.
In domestic violence relationships, it's about power and control. So the batterer uses violence and abusive behaviors to maintain power and control over their victim. They all use different methods of violence or abuse, but it's basically to gain the same outcome, which is to maintain control of their victim.
Well, you're scared. It makes you feel like less than a person. You can't have any friends. They don't want you talking to anyone else, and you lose all self-esteem.
So much as, you know, I just want him away for you know, until he sobers up or until he calms down. You know, I don't want him to go to jail. If he goes to jail, you know, who's going to pay the bills? You know, I have nowhere to go.
I tried to call my mom, my grandmother in Oklahoma, and I would ask, could you get me a trailer? You know, could you just get me any kind of place to get out of, you know, the situation financially? And they wouldn't help me, and I had no way to take care of myself.
We have lots of family members that will tell victims, you know, you made your bed, but now you have to lie in it. Or if you pray more for him, he'll stop abusing you. Or if you just do what he says, you know, you'll be okay and he'll stop abusing you. So a lot of times society also reinforces those behaviors with batterers, and they continue to get away with it.
He was her first love, and I guess he figured he would be her last. I was called by different people. Everybody was calling and saying that Tanya was hurt, she was injured. They didn't state she was dead, but her mother had a history. She flashed from the mind. It could possibly have happened. So we all went. We drove to the lake show. Come to find out she was in that house, in that appointment.
So what a woman needs to do is to be very in tune with her intuitions. If you feel like something's maybe not right, don't dismiss your instincts. If you feel like something is questionable behavior or something that may lead to abusive behavior, make sure you get out of there as quickly as possible. In Louisiana, every year we have around 60 to 80 domestic violence homicides. And those are not only women who are murdered by their abusive partners, but oftentimes other family members who are killed in the same incident. and on some occasions, men who are murdered by their
Males
partner.
are not abused. I don't think they report like females would report. But about 68%, roughly 68% of the children in the home, about 68% of the children are actually abused if there's domestic violence, family violence going on in the home. Women that are murdered by their abuser, 75% of women that are killed by the abuser are killed in the act of leaving or after they have left. And normally the first 72 hours are very critical. He's not aware yet as a 5-year-old.
He's a normal 5-year-old. He's just a normal 5-year-old. He asks questions every now and then. He knows his mother's in heaven. She's in that. As he grows older, I'm sure he's going to ask questions, but as of now, no. He knows his mother is in heaven. He knows his dad killed his mom. That he knows. What happened, why, things like that, not yet.
There are many stereotypes about domestic violence, but specifically about battered women. People believe that battered women are poor, that they're minorities, that they have lots of children, that they're uneducated, and that they're very weak in nature, and that can't be further from the truth.
I blocked it out using drugs, I really
I
did.
have a guy that has never hit his woman before, and for some reason, he snaps.
When she walked in the house, she had attitude, saying that you're not gonna get rid of this van. And I was doing it all for her and all that. But when she walked in with that attitude, that just triggered everything. And I said, I know I can't get rid of the van. She said, the van is in my name. I said, that's not the only car that's in just your name. Okay? And I lost it.
Abuse isn't just physical. We have a lot of people out there that when you talk about verbal abuse, you're gonna do nothing. You're never gonna be anything. Without me, you would be nothing. You would be nowhere. You're talking about psychological abuse. You would just walk with somebody and just flinch.
Grabbed her by her hair and I took her in every room in that house. And every time I got in that room, I hit upside her head and said, who paid for this room? I said, you do. Brought her in the bathroom. I said, who paid for this room? You do. Every time I brought her in the room, I bust upside her head and said, who paid for this room? You do. And I said, well, why in the hell my name wasn't on these cars? I would get on these helicopters, get on these boats, go work on some of these shabby jobs, to give her all these nice things. And come to find out I was betrayed. I was really, really destroyed.
I think men can affect a change among men. I can stand up and preach and talk to men and about the work and domestic violence, but and some men may look at you and think, now who are you, a woman, to tell me how I'm supposed to act and do? But another man can talk to men about the value of being an honorable
man. And I
man.
took it out on him. I really did.
Were there other things besides that?
That was enough right there for me. Knowing that, I was already not home, but maybe 3 months out of a year, And I mean, she walking in the store and buy what she wants. Every 2 years you go pick out what car you want. Come on.
Did you ever stop to think that maybe your name wasn't on the papers because you wasn't there to sign?
No, I never stopped and think like that. Why should I? If I put you in charge for you to go get what you want, and that's all I ask you to do, how would you feel?
signs, but often don't show them initially in the relationship. So many times they come later as the relationship and attachments develop.
Well, you know, any situation can be avoided.
She was in love. And I stubbornly thought I was in love and had gotten with this guy. And then again, having the second child, maybe if I'd have just stopped with one, but then to get pregnant again, I think that they loved me, but yet I put myself in this position. But I felt trapped, and I was very unhappy.
Also, people believe that in domestic violence situations that the victim is to blame for the abuse or to blame for being abused because they stay with the batterer, and that can't be further from the truth. The batterer is always responsible for
It's almost as if girls are brought up to talk and taught that you need permission from a man to decide where you want to go to school, permission, how to dress, permission.
You have to start all over again. They want you to feel that way. I believe they get you to where you have nobody, so you'll have to do what they say.
He was upset because I didn't want her to name the baby after him. So he was furious. I met him coming down the hall in the hospital, and he looked at me like if he could, like, eat me, he would have.
So it was just a bad situation. Girls get scared. They can't get out, especially if they have no one to talk to, if they have nowhere to go. They have shelters and stuff, but a lot of people don't want to go.
So we do advocacy for the women, victims of domestic violence and their children. We provide safe shelter. We provide legal advocacy as far as restraining orders and legal referrals. We have a full children's program, providing children's services, feeding groups for the children, parenting classes for the moms, and structured play groups. We also do case management with the women in the shelter, and setting goals and making plans, long-term goals and short-term goals.
They believe that their batterer can find them, that they have a lot of control over them even when they're out of the home. They also have a tremendous sense of shame. They have a sense of loss because they have lost everything. So we see people with a lot of depression sometimes. But what's so amazing about our program is that even though people may come to us that way, these are still very strong people, and all they need is someone to remind them of that, which is basically what our program does.
Children. We also have a non-residential program. Women receive the same services, except they may have a safe place to go, but they're not in shelter.
I mean, all it takes is one good, push the wrong direction, or, you could really get hurt.
You can't be your lover, your friend, and your father. You gotta choose. You can't tell a grown person what to do.
So when they start doing these things like putting their hands on you, you really need to get out, because if it happens when they're not drinking, especially someone sober,
As long as he's not trying to be your father. You can't have a relationship like that. And that's enough.
I teach my daughters that you don't have to depend on anybody. It's something you want. You think about how you want to attain it, and then you go for it.
I absolutely believe that people can change, but my belief is that they have to want to change. And unfortunately, one of the things that batterers are really clever about is that they decide they want to change when the victim's leaving them. And that is not the catalyst for change. That is a ploy to keep the victim in their control, basically.
I would say anything is to be aware of your family and friends. And if someone comes to you and tells you that I am battered and I need help, be a listening ear to hear them and offer to help. Do never put yourself in between a batterer and a victim, because you can get killed.